Hello and welcome to Complete with DLC, the only show... I completely forgot a slogan again. Oh, God, I need to start remembering this. I'm disappointed in myself. That guy over there is Jacob Griffin. Jacob, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing, Brad?
I was good until I started the recording and realized, wait a minute, I didn't come up with a slogan. So, if you asked me 30 seconds ago, I was doing great.
That's good.
But I'm doing all right. We've had an interesting week.
Yes.
In video games, to say the least.
Yeah, and I think it's only going to get more interesting as the week goes on, in all honesty.
I hope so, because it's been a really, really interesting week. And not just with the No Man's Sky launch, but in Blizzard and in Nintendo and Sony, and everybody seems to be getting in on this this kind of funny week of video games. But in the non-video game related news, Jacob, what have you been up to?
Saw Suicide Squad this weekend.
Yep.
And it's just okay.
Just a solid eh.
Yeah, it's a solid 5 out of 10. Like literally right in the middle. There's things I like about it, and there's things I don't like about it, and it all just adds up to being a meh summer movie.
I'm really sad that we cut our last episode short for you to see Suicide Squad, and you didn't come away with glaring reviews. I was hoping it would be worth it in the long run.
Yeah, no, and even if I like hated it, it still would have been worth it in the end because I could have came back here
and just ranted about it. That would have been content.
We could have done a complete review, but like that's the thing with like a movie like this that's so just like I'm so in the middle about it, is that I don't have anything really to say about it. Like I can talk about the elements that I didn't like and the elements I liked, but even then, it's mainly just character stuff. Like, other than that, like the editing is kind of incoherent. But from what I'm hearing, there's a reason for that. So it's not even like a thing of like, how did this movie happen? You know what I mean? Like,
they kind of completely wanted to change the tone midway through production, and I think the movie kind of suffered for that.
Yeah, because like the story from what I'm hearing online, and like is even too like there's a novelization of the movie that's out that's like got different stuff than the way the movie is. So you can already tell like this definitely was changed in the edit. Was like that original trailer that we saw at Comic-Con the first year I think
The darker one.
Yeah, the darker trailer. And it was the same year we saw that Batman v Superman trailer, the second one that didn't reveal everything, that was really good, that got me really hyped. That was like, it was supposed to be that sort of tone, like darker, like it had light moments to it, but it was definitely going to be like a darker, more sort of in line with the way the DC movies have been going. Then they released that second trailer with Bohemian Rhapsody in it, and everyone responded so well to that trailer that they said, let's just completely change the tone of this movie and make it like joke fest. Like, let's basically make it our Guardians of the Galaxy. And they tried to do that, and they failed because in trying to make it their Guardians of the Galaxy and going back and reshooting stuff, it makes the movie somewhat incoherent. At least for like the first half an hour. Then it sort of kind of becomes like a straightforward plot, but even then that plot isn't that great because the setup for it is not very good.
It just kind of sucks, because I remember going back, and we did a review on the Suicide Squad trailer when the second one came out. Yes. And we both of us were just like falling over ourselves saying how much we really enjoyed the second trailer as compared to the first. So I can see why they wanted to make this change. It's just a shame they didn't do it in a proper way.
Yeah, I think the problem was that by the time they released that trailer, they had already had their finished version like already filmed and everything. It just wasn't edited together. And so apparently what happened was the trailer company, which editing a trailer and editing a movie are very different things.
Yes.
Like a trailer is meant to be flashy and sort of get your attention so that way you go see the movie. And they had that company edit a cut of the movie that was in line sort of with the way that trailer went. And that's apparently like the version that came out. And then they also had the director David Ayer do his cut, which was like the darker regular version of this movie. And apparently the two cuts sort of both got, you know, decent sort of scores or whatever. So they were just like, let's meet a middle ground here. And it leans more towards what Warner Brothers wanted, which was just let's copy Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. So who was your favorite performance? I gotta ask, because I've been hearing conflicting reviews as to who was the best.
I think I like... if I'm gonna say like of everybody in the movie, like the best performance technically is the lady who plays Amanda Waller, because she's just like, she kind of gets that character down to a T from the comics. Also, Ben Affleck is in this movie, and he's awesome. But if I'm just going by the squad, I guess Harley Quinn, because she's basically just like, she's kind of like a mix between like the animated series and like the Arkham games, like coming together in her performance, and I think it's actually like really good.
Yeah, it's what I've been hearing. I've been hearing a lot of people liking Harley Quinn, which sort of sets my mind at ease, because she was the one I was most worried about. And I've been hearing decent things about Will Smith, but he's sort of polarizing in his performance. Some people say he was, he was one of the better ones, or some people just say he kind of sucked.
See, here's the thing I think of why everyone's either talking about those two, is because they're the only ones who have any actual backstory fleshed out.
I feel like there was too many people on that Suicide Squad. Maybe if they toned it down a little bit, trimmed off some of the other guys that maybe weren't necessary, they could have fleshed out everybody, and maybe the movie would have been better. But, I mean, it's a lot of maybes,
Yeah, I want you to see it, though. Like, I assume you're going to do it like you did with Batman. You'll wait till it comes out on Blu-ray. Like, I want you to see it because I want to hear your opinion on it.
No, I'll probably see it in theaters. My general, the way that we do it is my dad, myself, and my two brothers, we all go to the movies 2 weeks after it comes out. Because usually by then the movie theaters are just about empty. We can see it in an empty theater, which is almost always more enjoyable in my opinion. But,
Right.
So I'll see it in like a week and a half, 2 weeks, and I suspect my opinion will be much the same as yours, because we generally have similar opinions when it comes to superhero movies.
Yeah. I really wanted to like it. I'll just say that. I went in there, I really wanted to like it, and I just didn't.
I hope I don't have the same problem with this as I did with Batman v Superman, where, if I see like a lot of potential in this movie and they kind of squander it, that's gonna make me upset. But I don't know. I'm going in with an unbiased opinion. I don't know what to expect from the movie. I don't know if I'm gonna like it, hate it. I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll
I think
see.
if you go in with an open mind and an open heart, you'll maybe have a good time. Like, that's kind of what I went in with. My opinion was a little clouded because like I was kind of sky high for this movie before the reviews started coming in. And then it kind of properly brought me back down. But I sort of went in with an open mind. And I came out, So.
DC makes me so sad. They're like making these beautiful looking cupcakes that you want to eat. And every time you go to reach and take a bite, it's actually just one of those plastic fake cupcakes they put on store displays. And you're disappointed. You don't want to eat their cupcakes anymore. But then they make a new cupcake, and this one looks awesome. And you go to eat that one, it's the same thing again. And I just don't want to eat any more stale cupcakes.
I think Wonder Woman will be a fresh cupcake, in all honesty.
It better be a fresh cupcake.
Then again, I said that about Suicide Squad, and I said that about Batman v Superman, and I'm sure I said that about Man of Steel.
I think we just found our episode title. It better be a fresh cupcake.
There we go. Look at that.
But is that all, Jacob? You went to go see Suicide Squad and you were thoroughly underwhelmed, or thoroughly whelmed, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know if I was under, over, or whatever.
You were strictly in the middle. You were just whelmed.
Yeah. What about you? What did you do this weekend? Did you do anything?
Nothing spectacular in terms of like actually doing anything important, but I did have a revelation over the weekend. So I finally figured out why it is that movie theaters make me fall asleep.
Why? Is it because it's dark?
No, well, yes, sort of. So as long as as I can remember, I've had just a habit of the way I fall asleep. Is I watch a few episodes of a show or anime or whatever I do, usually, in a dark room, just watch a couple episodes, tires me out, I go to bed. And I did this way before even like streaming anime. I used to do it with Toonami when I was a kid, right? I do it with Pokemon or whatever. And I didn't realize exactly how closely the movie theaters emulate that environment. You know what I mean? So it was Saturday night, and it was like maybe 11:30, and I have to stay up till about 1 o'clock in the morning because that's when my brothers and I watch a show that comes on Toonami at about 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm feeling pretty good. I'm not tired or anything, so I figured, I gotta pass the time. Maybe I'll watch a couple episodes of some random anime. I don't remember what I was watching. So I sit down to watch it. And after, like, the second episode, I realized I'm now exhausted. I'm like, what the hell happened? Like, I was wide awake before I started watching. So I had some coffee, and I tried to wake myself back up, and I realized it's the same thing that happens in the movie theaters. Except, I'd only been sitting down at this point for about 40 minutes. But if it's an hour-and-a-half long movie, I would have fallen asleep.
Right.
So I have figured it out. It's like a psychological thing, I think.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's just kind of that thing of, like, your brain is so trained at this point.
Yeah, it's okay. It's a dark room. He's watching something. It's time to sleep.
Yeah. Huh, that's interesting.
Which kind of sucks because I don't want to break that habit because that's a really useful way for me to fall asleep pretty easily.
Right.
And it just means that like I'm gonna have to like force myself to stay awake in movie theaters from now on.
Yeah, I think like now as the time goes on and movie theaters get more comfortable, that's going to be worse for you.
Yeah, it's gonna be awful. I'm gonna have to like sit on a thumbtack or something to keep myself awake. I don't know.
Once every movie theater gets recliner chairs, because I mean like 2 of them in the area already have it.
Yeah.
We just need the one in Swansea to get it, and then all of them around here will have it. And I could just see you.
Then I'll never go to a movie theater again.
It's sad to say, but I think movie theaters are kind of on the way out in a weird way. I think day and date digital is going to become a thing for a lot of stuff.
I think the way we perceive movie theaters is on the way out. Like the way that they were perceived in, a decade, 2 decades ago, where you and a bunch of friends would crowd into a van and go see a double feature, where that sort of thing is on the way out. But I think, especially the way movie theaters are being done in the West and even, the central, part of like Texas, that kind of area, where it's much smaller, much more, it's expensive, but you get actual like food with the movie theater. I feel like that's going to be the more way to do it at this point, where it's not that you want to see this brand new movie as the day it comes out, it's just more you want the experience, I think is what we're going to move towards.
See, I think the problem, though, that's coming to it is that, like, with the way ticket prices are going up and, like, concession prices, and, like, even that you're talking about, like, the experience would make it better if we had something like an Alamo Drafthouse around here.
Yeah.
But, like, the thing is, like, the only thing people want to go see now is big movies that are, like, your Civil Wars or your Suicide Squads. And, like, if, like, a little movie comes out, like...
Hardcore Henry.
Like Hardcore Henry, right? Hardcore Henry, maybe even like a few years ago, would have been a movie that would have came out and would have done at least some business, right? Like, because, like, you get those action fans in there, and you even get people who are like, this is an interesting way to do a movie, I'll check it out. But, like, as it is now, like, spending... say $12 on Hardcore Henry is not as appealing as saying, like, oh, I can go see this known property like Captain America, and I know that I'll get quality with that with my $12.
I think that has a lot to do with, it's the price, right? You don't want to take the risk.
Yeah.
It's, I'm going to go see a Marvel property because, all the Marvel movies are at least decent enough to justify me spending my $12 to $16 on a movie, whereas, if some smaller random film, you don't really want to risk it because it would suck to waste 2 hours and, if you buy popcorn and soda and all that stuff, you're wasting like $20-$30 of your cash to see a movie you didn't even enjoy. So, yeah. But we have gotten way off topic from video games here, so let's reel it back in and move on into what we're playing. All right, Jacob, why don't you tell me what you've been playing, even though I already know the answer to this question.
So, here's the thing, right? There's one big game that everybody wants to hear me talk about, or anybody talk about this week, and that's Batman: A Telltale Series. I played episode 1 last night, and I did actually play episode 1 last night when I was waiting for another game that I played to unlock.
Yes, I saw your tweet about it.
It's really good so far. Like, it's sort of a more scaled back Batman story. There doesn't seem to be a lot of supervillains. It's sort of more... focusing in on the organized crime aspect of Gotham City, which I kind of like, because there's been like a lot of Batman, and I'm sure like eventually it's gonna go down the road of supervillains, because like Harvey Dent is one of the main characters in this, but he's Harvey Dent at this point. So
he's not Two-Face yet.
No, he's not, and I don't know exactly what period this takes place in, like if this is like early on in Batman's days, or if like he's been Batman for a while now, because it seems like everyone's still referring to him as that vigilante, the Batman, or like even cops attempt to shoot at him and stuff. Like, I'm not sure if it's early on or not.
I mean, I would say it's probably early on, but wasn't the dude from Batman v Superman, Ben Affleck, like Batman for like 20 years or whatever, and they still calling him the vigilante?
Yeah.
So at this point, I really don't know if just... That sort of screwed up my Batman timeline.
That's the thing, too, is, like, he looks like a young Bruce Wayne in this and all that, so that doesn't make me think he's been Batman for a long time. And, like I said, the cops are shooting at him, and everybody's treating him like this crazy vigilante. But the way he talks to Alfred about it, it seems like he's been doing this for, like, a while. You know what I mean? So that's just one of the things that I'm a little confused about. And I kind of, like, I see where this story is going, and it's interesting, but I don't know if it's interesting enough to make a video game out of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's an interesting thing for like a comic storyline to do, because it could be like, one of those, like how they have the weekly issues of Batman, or weekly or monthly issues of Batman, where it's not like a huge overarching storyline for the DC universe. Like, it seems like it'd be one of those stories, and it really does kind of nail the feeling of like reading an issue of a comic book. But like, if the story's going where I think it's going and there's no sort of super villain intervention with it, I'll be interested to see how people respond to the later episodes of this. Because I think for this first episode, it's a good setup, and then that like next time on starts playing and you sort of get an idea of what's coming. And I was like, this seems an interesting way to go with this. I didn't expect Telltale to do this. I would have expected them to do like the Joker's going to take over the city for the 45th billionth time.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice that they're doing something a little different where there's not immediately a super villain threat, because not every experience with Batman needs a Joker.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, you do need some sort of driving force to keep your Batman interesting.
Yeah, and like so far, like the only villain that's really come up in it, and I say villain in quotes because she's back and forth on this, is Catwoman. Yeah,
she's sort of a villain when she feels like it.
Yeah, and she seems like she's sort of a villain in the first episode, and then the second episode she's going to be like a cool person.
So like actual Catwoman.
Yeah. So I'm curious to see where it goes. I think it's a good start to what could be a really good storyline, and I hate, like, I had $5 on my PlayStation account and I needed something to do while I was waiting for this other game that you can maybe guess what it is to unlock. And I was like, I have like 2 hours to kill. I'll just play it. And now it sucks because now I'm on the hook to play these every month.
Yeah.
Whereas like what I was originally going to do was just wait for each individual episode to come out.
You gave in to temptation and now you're hooked.
Exactly. Other than that, though, I've been playing this little game. I don't know, you guys might have heard about it. It's called No Man's Sky.
Little indie game,
Yeah.
And for once, that's not sarcastic. It is.
Technically, it is a little indie game that is getting pushed to a AAA forefront. It's really good. I like it a lot. I kind of say like I'm in love with it, but like I've learned from Batman v Superman that I shouldn't say that I love things on my first initial playthrough or whatever. I've only played about like an hour to an hour and a half of it, because I played it last night at midnight, and then I played till about like 1:30, and it's interesting. I think I get where it's going for this game, but it's definitely a lot. It's got its hooks in me a lot more than I ever expected it to, given the way I think the gameplay is going, and what it seems to be is a lot of like, you need to get a certain resource to build something for your ship. So like, let's say like, the game starts off and you've crash landed on a planet. I guess it's technically spoilers. I don't know.
Yeah, what the No Man's Sky community considers spoilers, in my opinion, is absolutely ridiculous. So if you consider anything spoilers for this game, stop listening here. Check the episode description. I'll give you guys a timestamp as to when you can tune back in.
Yeah. So like you start the game and you're like crash landed on your first planet, and then you have to find materials to fix your engine and fix your not hyperdrive. I don't know what you'd call it, but it's like the thing that makes you fly.
Pulse
really
drive.
Fast. Pulse drive. Thank you. And so then like you do that and you get off the planet. And then you can travel around space and you can go to different planets and stuff. And then it's like, oh, well, you've built your pulse drive and everything. Now you got to make a hyperdrive so that way you can travel to a different star system. And that's kind of where I stopped on, was making a hyperdrive. And I've traveled to a different star system at this point, which is like, it's a weird kind of exhilarating feeling flying around space at very fast speeds. Like, it feels a lot like the Millennium Falcon going through hyperdrive. And
yeah, it's a unique thing in the gaming industry where like just the scale of that game combined with you jumping through it with like ludicrous speeds, I imagine creates a very unique feeling.
And then even then too, right? Like, how I've said like when they showed at E3 the galactic map, how it made me feel very small inside.
Yeah.
That whole feeling came over me again, because like when you're going to jump to a different star system, it pulls up the galactic map and lets you pick the star system that you're going to warp to. And when I did that, I was like, let me just look around the galactic map and see, because like you can see where the center of the universe is, and you can travel through the galactic map and look at stuff to, you know, go towards the center. So I was like, let me see how I can do it, right? And you start flying, and then you can click a button to fly faster. And after like about 2 minutes, I was like, all right, I'm going to stop this because I still have not reached the center yet, just looking at the galactic map. And this is crazy. Like, so many stars and stuff have gone by me. Or technically, they're suns. Like, so many suns have gone by me and stuff. Like, this game's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting game. For those of you curious about whether or not you want to buy this game, head over to Twitch. I believe it's twitch.tv/HelloGamesOfficial is the name of the channel. And Sean Murray did a 1 hour long stream, give or take, yesterday, showcasing sort of what the game is like in the beginning phases and what it's like once you've played for a few hours. So if you're curious as to what the game has to offer, check that out. But I will warn you, he is just absolutely exhausted, and so he's sort of a little goofy in the video, in the archive. I don't know if that stream is actually archived though. So if you get there and it's not there, I apologize. I think it's on PlayStation Europe's one too, because I know they tweeted about it. Yeah, so I imagine there's an archive of it somewhere. And he did keep quote-unquote spoilers very light. I don't know how you guys consider, like, oh my god, it's a different animal spoiler. Like, no. I found, like, a space dog. A space dog? Point. Yeah, like, it literally looks like a wolf dog. It kind of reminded me like a German Shepherd or something. I don't know. My opinion of this game sort of switched around a little bit when, like, those patch notes got released. I was amazed with how much of this game was being shipped, like, missing. Like, a large portion of this game was missing without that day one patch. So, like, it's almost a new game at this point. Like, there seems to be a lot more stuff to do. And the fact that they're even willing to consider things like base building is now coming, and owning a gigantic freighter, which was something people were asking for a long time, is now coming. And they're even considering things like mod support in the future, which, you know, they're still very hesitant on, but they're at least considering it. That's a huge step. Oh, my phone went off. And too, like, he's been talking about how some multiplayer stuff might be coming. Like, what he's talked about has been like a thing of like, you can look through your friends list and see what they've discovered and then warp to that. And I hope that, you know, eventually that's like a stepping stone to being like, your friends on this planet, warp to him, you know what I mean? But, like, this game has the potential to be something great. Like, even now, like, I think it's something great. Like, it plays good and stuff. There is a run button, so that I noticed that when I was watching Sean's stream, is that there is actually a run button. The weird thing is, though, it's right stick in instead of left stick in. Left stick in is to scan. Me off. It's throwing me off. I don't know if there's a way to change the controls, but I'm afraid now if I did change them, it would just throw me off to being like, oh, how do I have to scan? Oh, it's right stick now, son of a bitch. You know what I mean? You're halfway to learning it, so you don't really want to change it back. Exactly. It's weird though, and it especially screwed me up when I was mining for plutonium to fuel my ship, and all of a sudden the Sentinels started screwing with me. Yeah. And I was trying to get away from them. And I, like, tried to click in the left stick, and I was just scanning everything. I was like, no, that's not what I want to do. You're scanning the things that are killing you. It's fine. Yeah. Speaking of which, like, those things are kind of annoying. Like, it seems like once you start doing anything, they start, like, following you around, start scanning you and stuff. Yeah. So it's interesting. Also, too, the whole... I don't know if there's a next level to this, but I've fed some animals, and... they just seem to follow you around and find stuff for you. Like, I don't know if that's what they mean by pets. Well, from what I read, it seems that, like, different animals do different things. Like, some will follow you around and find cool things for you, and others will, like, actually poop out rare resources. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting mechanic, and I can honestly say I've never seen that in a game before. But I guess it depends on the animal. And maybe when base building comes, like, you can literally have them as a pet. Like, they'll just roam around your base. Which I think would be pretty cool. I'm still on the search for that standing up fat turtle thing. Yeah, people are looking for those, those giant sandworms that we saw? Yeah. People are on the hunt for those things, but I don't think they've been spotted yet. But just give it time. I'm sure they'll show up. I haven't found a sand planet yet, but I've found a sort of jungly planet. I found a
like a water planet. Like it seemed like there was a lot of bodies of water, and then I found like literally like a dead planet.
Yeah, so that's something he talked about a lot in his little stream, was that some planets, some types of planets that didn't exist before, like totally dead planets, would not have existed prior to this update. So now, I forget the ratio he said it was, but now it's like fully dead planets with very little, if any, life on them actually exist. Which is kind of creepy, I imagine, to walk around.
It was really creepy when I landed because, like, I forget why I went there, but I went there and I just started walking around and there was, like, nothing. There was, like, a sentinel flying around and then, like, I found, like, one crystal of plutonium. Other than that, just, like, endless dead area. It was crazy and weird to look at. And then, like, obviously there was, like, the bases on the planet with, like, the Korvax in it. So far, Korvax, they hate me. I don't know how, like, I don't understand their language, so most of the time I just walk away from them because I don't know what they're saying.
Yeah, so maybe that's why they hate you. They're just trying to be hello, say hello, be polite. I can't speak today.
So far, though, like, I finally found, like, one of those shrines that teaches you things.
Yeah.
And I learned the Korvax word for, like, warning or dangerous or hazardous or something like that. And then I learned the Korvax word for Korvax.
Ah.
So that really helps me out.
Yeah, so you can now say Korvax is dangerous and they'll hate you even more.
Exactly. I haven't seen any other alien types, though, that, like, will trade with you other than the Korvax yet.
I think is there 2 or 3 of them? I know Korvax, and one of them's, I think, called the Gek.
The Gek. And I found Gek charms, which seem to just be items to be sold.
Yeah.
Or I assume that you can use them with the Gek and charm them if you keep them, but I just sold them because I needed money to buy stuff to make a warp cell for my hyperdrive.
Yeah, so I got a question for you, Jacob.
Yes.
My big, not problem, but my main concern with this game is the price. After watching his stream, and disclaimer, I've not seen any other streams besides Sean, so I didn't look at any of the pre-release stuff. I read the patch notes for the update, and I read some of the leaked stuff when the guy bought the $1,300 copy or whatever, but I haven't seen any content other than the official, the stream he did yesterday. I don't see $60 worth of game here. So I want to ask you, now that you've bought it, do you feel like this is going to be something that was worth $60 to you?
Yeah, I do actually think that. I can see how, like, if you play this one way, it could be really shallow. Like, if your only goal is to just get to the center of the universe and you're just, plowing through that to do whatever you want, and, let's say, like, you can get there in 30 hours like that guy did, like, I could see this not being worth $60 to you if that's your only goal. But if you are playing it like, say, you want to get credits to get a better ship, to then have more slots so that way you can get more resources and then trade them and do all these things and upgrade yourself to be, essentially unstoppable eventually, like, I could see this, I could see you definitely in getting more out of it than the person who's just like, I want to get to the center and that's it.
Yeah, so, I mean, Sean said like a million times that it's a chill game, right? It's something you just sort of play and lose yourself in. But I don't know. I feel like $60 is a high price tag for something like that. Like, for example, I do the same thing in like Minecraft and a few other just sort of mind-numbing games where I just sit back and lose myself for a few hours. So, I don't know. Maybe my opinion will change later, but right now I'm sort of hesitant on it.
I think this game is a deeper Minecraft in a way. Like, it's not like, one-to-one Minecraft. But like you said, like, it's a chill game like Minecraft. So it's got a lot deeper systems. Honestly, I think it's the kind of game that you have to play in order to really get a sense of if you think this is worth $60 to you, right? Yeah. Like, I had seen some pre-release gameplay, and I had seen I had watched some of the Sean, like, highlights or something like that of the Sean Murray stream because people were posting them on the subreddit, and stuff. And I think, like, just looking at this game, like, I could see how someone's like, this looks like not a game that's worth $60 to me, right? I think you got to get it in your hands and you got to spend some time with it in order to get it. And, like, I think, like, honestly, like, if we maybe make, like, a video of us playing it or something like that and you get some hands-on time with it, I think that's when you can really, like, sort of make that judgment call for yourself, right? Yeah. As of right now, I think outright being like this game is worth $6 to me is a valid thing because, like, you're just looking at this pre-release stuff. You don't really have sort of a baseline for yourself of what the game is.
Yeah, I mean, right now my comparison is literally I'm comparing it to Minecraft, right? It's a lose yourself sort of relaxed game, but Minecraft was, 15, this is 60, so that's sort of why I'm hesitant on this. But, I mean, so what about this? What if they did like a Doom type thing? Do you think this would work where, like, you said you start on your first planet and you have to get the equipment to get off that planet, correct? So would you think it'd be a decent like demo style thing where they land you on that first planet and you get to play until you have the technology to get off it? And to get off that first planet, you'd have to obviously buy the game, but I feel like you would get a decent enough sense of what the game is like from playing that first planet experience.
See, I think if you just give them that first planet, that's sort of kind of like going to be like, well, whatever. This is just a collecting resources game, because that's the way it feels like when you first play it.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see someone getting turned off by that. I think if you gave them a demo that was like, here, have an hour, and like there's a little timer in the corner, and then once that hour's up, it'll bring you to like say like, oh, you can buy it now on the store, or you can just say goodbye, and then like just have like maybe like an hour-long demo to let people like maybe fly around a star system, go to different planets, see stuff, sort of get an idea for the game. I think that could really help them out a lot.
I hope they do something like that, because I feel like, I mean, this game is already selling amazingly well. It was top on Twitch streams. It passed up League of Legends, so clearly it's doing something, right?
I think it's still at the top of the Steam sales, too, and it's not even out on Steam yet, so...
Yeah, and, Sean Murray's been having a stroke on Twitter all day. Have you seen him? He's flipping out.
No, is it about the FOV slider? Because everyone keeps saying something to him about an FOV slider.
No, it's not about that. It's the, he's looking over all the discoveries being made and the things being named, and he's sort of like... I can tell he's really, really happy that the game's doing well, which is, it's a great thing. He worked really hard on this game, so... Him and the 14 people he worked with.
My whole Twitter is just nothing but screenshots of No Man's Sky. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's great to see that, the effort finally paid off. Although it seems like they're going to have to moderate the naming for the planets. That's something they're going to do in the future, because on the stream he was talking about, he's like, apparently journalists, if they're any indication, the naming thing was like 90% genitalia references in naming, so...
I thought I should do that at one point, but I didn't. I just I went with like a regular name. So like my first planet, remember I said I was going to name my first planet Omicron Persei 8? Yes. I named it Omicron Persei 9.
Oh, changing up a little bit.
I'm original. So that will always be my home planet, is Omicron Persei 9. So if I ever need to find that again, which will probably be an impossible task, I know where to go.
That's another question I have, is how easy is it going to be to find planets you've already previously been on?
Yeah, the thing is that makes it a lot easier is actually naming them. Yeah. Honestly. Because there was a point where I went to a planet just to see if it had a certain resource I needed, and then I left it and went back to a space station to sell something to somebody, or I think it was to buy something for... It was like a resource that only was on that space station. And so I was there, and then I left, and I was like, I need to find a certain type of fuel. Which planet is it on? And I looked at it, right, and I saw like I had this planet here that I didn't name, and then I had one that I named, one that I named, one that I didn't. And I was like, okay, well, I know I've been to this one, because if I go into my discovery menu, it's there. Let me just name it quickly so that way I can, know that I've been there. Yeah. It helps a lot. Also, too, you get credits for every time you upload a discovery to the Atlas. And so for a little bit, I was swimming in credits, and then I had to buy a... I forget, some sort of like cell for my warp drive, and then I was like, oh no, that's like 50,000 credits, and I have 50,000 credits.
And now you no longer have 50,000 credits.
Exactly. I was trying to save up for a ship, because the first ship I came across in a space station I thought was really cool, and I talked to the alien who had it, and he was gonna try to sell it to me for 350,000 credits, and I was like, sir, I am not interested today.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was really cool where, there's like a mechanic where if you meet the aliens on like the space stations or whatever, like the trading posts, you can make them an offer on their ship if it's better than yours, and maybe they'll sell it to you. I thought that was a really cool mechanic.
Yeah, and it also, too, it has like that sort of like stat tree where it just is like a circle that fills up and it compares the stats of your two ships. Yeah. And I like that a lot. So that way it knows like, say you have a ship that's better than the one that's trying to be sold to you, you can know that you're not buying a piece of crap ship.
Yeah, unless theirs looks cooler, in which case, really, what's more important, a better ship or a cooler looking ship?
Yeah, that was my main reason of why I walked up to the ship and tried to get it. Because the ship I have now is like, I don't know if everyone has the same ship when they start off.
It depends
like,
on if you pre-order or not.
I pre-ordered and I got a different ship, but it didn't show up in the game. I got, or who knows? I could have, but I just didn't know. But as it was like this little dinky looking ship. It kind of looks like a toy spaceship that you get from like a dollar store.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, so like I want like a nicer spaceship, and I'm on the lookout. So if there is ever another player that I come across at an Atlas station, your boy Jay Griff wants a better spaceship.
Yeah, the only reason I want mods in that game is just to get like cool looking ships. Like there are just so many awesome ships in fiction that I'd wanna have.
And because I'm playing this game sort of as a Star-Lord, because I have like my Awesome Mix Volume 1 playing as I'm playing the game, I was like, oh, I should have got this on PC so that way when the mods start up I can get the Milano from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, like the Milano, you can get, the Millennium Falcon, Spike's ship from Cowboy, just so many great ships. But we've been talking about No Man's Sky for a while now, so we gotta move on.
Yeah.
This one's gonna be a long one, but that's fine. No Man's Sky came out yesterday or today, so we can make an exception.
Expect to hear more about this on Thursday's show.
And the next Tuesday show, and the next Thursday show, and probably for a while after that.
Yeah, basically for the next 3 years, expect to.
We're actually going to rename the segment, No Man's Sky Corner.
This week in No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Brad, did you play anything, or?
Yeah, I played a few things. I kind of wish I didn't, that way we could move on to the news, but I'll talk about the things I played for a little bit. I played We Happy Few. I got to try that out, only for about an hour or so, because that's about as long as the demo I was able to play. But honestly, I wasn't a big fan of it. It wasn't the game I wanted going in, and I think that sort of tempered my expectations a little bit. I mean, all in all, it's an alpha. There's only 50% of the game there, but for what I played, it functioned pretty much fine. Everything worked, but it just wasn't the game I wanted. It's more, like we said, I think last week, it's more Rust, not BioShock. And I was really craving another BioShock type game with a great story. And yeah, maybe this game has a great story and has 3 playable characters and all that other stuff, but it's just, I don't want another crafting game, I'm done with the crafting for now.
I have a question here, because like I feel exactly the same way you do about this game, but you say you're craving like a new sort of BioShock game with a great story. Does that BioShock collection do anything for you?
You know what? Honestly, a little bit. It's just I want a really immersive story again, and BioShock, just the first time through, was one of my favorite experiences, and I don't know. I've been justifying trying to buy it for a while, and I don't think I'm going to get it, but maybe eventually if it goes down in price a little bit, I'll probably pick it up.
I think it's a pretty good value, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You're getting, like Bioshock 2 is like an okay game, but like it's still it's okay compared to Bioshock 1.
Yeah.
Whereas which is like a masterpiece, and then like Bioshock Infinite is a really good game too. So like you're getting like 3 like really good games for like $60 plus their DLC, which I want to say like the DLC for one of them is like really good. I think it was for number 2 actually had like really good DLC, and then
I think so.
Infinite had that weird one where you went to Rapture.
Yeah, and I've never beaten Infinite, so I mean, if I do end up getting it, I guess that's a reason for me to wanna buy it. But yeah, I've been craving another big story game that isn't like an RPG, right? Like I don't want to get into another 60-hour minimum RPG, just a short, nice little story game that I can enjoy, and I feel like we're sort of lacking that. But yeah, I wasn't big on We Happy Few just because it wasn't the game I was looking for. But other than that, I played The Elder Scrolls Legends, which is a game we're going to talk about a little bit later in the news, because the open beta came out.
Is that card game?
It's the card game, yeah. So I've been a little frustrated recently with Hearthstone, with the way the game is in its current state. And we got an expansion coming up, actually in like 2 or 3 days for that game. It's an adventure, not an expansion, sorry. But it doesn't seem to be, I don't think it's going to do too much for like the meta game of Hearthstone. So I'm a little disappointed in that. So I moved on to The Elder Scrolls Legends to try that out. My brother played it. He really enjoyed it. And actually, Jacob, I think you're really going to enjoy this game. So you might want to check it out. Yeah. It's a card game with a story. So you know how you always felt like a card game wasn't actually like a video game in a sense? You actually follow a story. And it's really, really interesting. I don't know how balanced the card game is, because I was actually playing it before we recorded the show. And I'm only maybe like 45 minutes in, if that. But it has a mechanic I've never seen in a card game before, in that it upgrades your basic set of cards as you level up. So your basic set of cards that you get when you start the game, most of them are absolutely terrible. Like, they're really, really bad cards in terms of, like, value and how good they are. But as you upgrade them, or as you level up, you upgrade them so they become stronger. And some of them have branching paths where, all right, I'm now level 3. This card that used to be really, really bad, I can, maybe now it has charge, or I can make it have, increased stats, right? So you can sort of customize how you want your cards to be. And they have that in the story mode as well. So as you're moving through the story, certain decisions you make alter the cards that you get. So for example, one of the ones was I was fighting a pack of wolves, right? Was one of the encounters. And at the end of the encounter, the whole game is narrated by some old guy telling your story, like you're the hero of legend, and it's an old man recounting your legend to a group of people. And so one of the people listening to the old man says, "Oh, well, what did the hero do?" And it gives you a choice. You found a wolf pup. Did the hero spare the wolf pup, or did they, leave it alone and just sort of move on with their way? And I chose to adopt the wolf pup, and I got a wolf card. I got a wolf minion. But if I had chosen to leave it alone and just continuing on without it, I would have gotten a spell card that did something different. And from what I understand, you can get the other option of the cards through card packs that you earn. So it's not like you'll never see that card that I didn't get. So I think that's really cool. But I think it's really awesome that you can upgrade your basic set of cards, and you can sort of customize the cards that you get as you play the game. So I'm having a lot of fun with this. But, I mean, I have to get a little more experience in it before I say how balanced the game is.
That's really interesting sounding to me compared to somebody who, looks at Hearthstone and thinks, oh, that could be a perfectly fun game, but, it does nothing for me.
Yeah, you'd be the kind of guy who goes into Hearthstone only to play the adventures, because that's what the story mode of Hearthstone is. It's single-player adventures where the one coming up is One Night in Karazhan, where Karazhan's an old raid in World of Warcraft, and you're playing through it, Medieval through a giant party in the Karazhan Tower, and you're going to play through that. The other one was, Blackrock Mountain was another adventure, Naxxramas, and all those other raids are single-player adventures. So that's kind of the thing that this whole game seems to be about in Elder Scrolls Legends.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I would definitely recommend you check that out. I feel like you'll enjoy it. And if anybody out there is frustrated with Hearthstone like me, maybe check it out as well. But that's kind of the only important things I've been playing. So now, finally, 45 minutes into this recording, we can get into the news. Alright, Jacob, so the first piece of news I have here is one from Sony, and we got a rumor floating around, so this isn't confirmed. We've been talking a lot of rumors on the show lately, but that's fine. I think it's more fun if we can speculate. So, the rumor is that the high-end PS4 codenamed Neo is going to be detailed next month, similar to how they revealed the current model of the PS4. And so the announcement is said to come from an event held in New York City, and this comes from reports from Vice Gaming and Game Blog. So, this is supposedly on September 7th, so about a month away at this point. I don't know how credible Vice Gaming and Game Blog are in terms of sources. I don't generally follow those two particular sources, so, take this for what you will, but I think the timeline sort of fits. And so further details remain scant on both the reveal and what the high-end PS4 will look like, but that's really all we know. Is that supposedly we're going to know a lot more on the 7th. So what do you think, Jacob? You think the timeline fits? Is this something we're probably going to hear about?
Yeah, it fits. I think at this point, PlayStation would be better off going back to the drawing board, at least now that we know, what Xbox is doing with Scorpio and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas that seems more like a next, generation console, whereas this and the 1S, to a certain extent, just seem like half steps.
Yeah. And I think with the Xbox One S doing so much better than people were expecting, 50% reduced power consumption, more steady frame rates, and overall 10% increase in frame rates, that's a lot better than just, a 4K Blu-ray player, which is what people were expecting. So I think maybe we need to see, I agree with you, we might see a little more out of Sony.
It honestly sounds a lot more like what this Neo is supposed to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What the 1S is doing right now. So, at this point, unless PlayStation has another console up their sleeves which is just stupid to have this whole event to announce a Neo to also be like, well, we have our own Project Scorpio.
Yeah, if you were going to do that, you would have to do it at E3 to combat Scorpio, not... Because if they do it now, it seems like catch-up, right?
It's not even just that. It's just like... It's the same thing I thought with the Xbox One S reveal that was stupid, was that they revealed that early in the show, and then at the end they were like... oh, well, the Xbox One S is coming this year for $300, and then they were like, next year the Scorpio's coming. Then it's like, at this point, if I have an Xbox One and say I wanted to upgrade to the One S just, for the better frame rates and for the 4K Blu-ray player and stuff like that, like...
Why not just wait?
Exactly. Now I have no reason to because of the Scorpio. And that's exactly what would be stupid if they did that with the Neo, where they were like, here's this Neo, and we also have our own Project Scorpio coming out next year. That seems stupid to me to do that, whereas I think they should just sort of cut their losses with this Neo. Yeah, it got out in the wild. Things get canceled all the time, you know what I mean? But then maybe go back to the drawing board and make the Neo maybe on par with the Scorpio or better than the Scorpio or, whatever. It's like... These half steps are stupid to me because like a game console is not a cell phone. There's no contract to that makes it cheaper, and that also gives me an upgrade plan there. Like as it is now, right? You're basically, let's say this is $400 like the PS4 was when it launched, right? You're spending $400 to then say in a year and a half, if they make a better version of the PlayStation 4 again, to spend another $400, and it also screws up the resale value of a PS4 now because like. Think about like how little say GameStop gives for consoles in general now. Imagine how little it's going to be for the PS4 in the future when we have the Neo on the market.
Yeah, especially because there's going to be a surplus of PS4s because people are going to, even though GameStop's not going to give you anything for them, people are going to do it anyway, and there's going to be a bunch of them, and the price is going to go down even more.
Yeah, they'll trade them in because they want to get the Neo, and they're like, well, it's stupid for me to have this PS4 when I'm just going to have the Neo. You know what I mean?
I'm not going to have two.
Exactly. So I think honestly, like in a way, this is just really dumb, and like this whole half step of a console thing. Like at least with the Xbox One S, there wasn't that build up to it. That was like, here's like the leaked specs or whatever, and it makes your games 10% better. It was just like here's a new version of the Xbox One. It's essentially our slim model, but we bumped up some things.
I think that's maybe what the problem was, right? Because when Neo got leaked, this was prior to any of the Xbox news. And we were sort of expecting, like, we didn't know what to expect, I think, honestly. We were attributing Neo to what we now know as Scorpio is going to be, right? Like, we were expecting them to be on par. But now we know that Neo's probably going to be more similar to the Xbox One S. So it feels a lot worse, I think, in that regard. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I hope this doesn't become a trend where, I like the slim versions. I think that's awesome. Keep doing that. But I don't want to see, I would prefer if we stick to the 6 to 7 year console lifespan as opposed to what this would be. Year 4?
3.
Year 3?
Year 3 because it came out November 2013.
Yeah, so I would prefer 6 to 7, not 3 to 4. So
yeah, even then, like 4 is fine, I guess at that point. It's like it's at least a little bit more removed than 3. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean 3 in console years feels like you just got the thing.
Exactly. And you know what sucks too about this too is like if you look at like say like a 360 when it first came out to when right before the Xbox One came out, like even like look at like GTA 4 to GTA 5, like those are two radically different looking games because people have learned what to do on that hardware.
Yeah.
Like now nobody has a chance to learn what the PS4 hardware can really do because now the Neo is going to take center stage.
Yeah, and it's just forcing developers to keep moving up to the next platform. And that's just so much more work for the developer, right? Like, they got to make sure it works on the Neo. Then they got to make sure it works on the PS4. And now they have 3 Xboxes they got to make sure all the games work on. And that's just a ton of work. But, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the pattern, but let's hope it stops. All right, Jacob. Up next, we have a story that about a game we haven't talked about in a while, Rocket League.
Yeah.
This one sort of floats in and out of the news every few months, but they're adding a new zany mode. I don't know why they chose that form of language, but it's coming in September, and it's called Rocket League Rumble, but what it should be called is Rocket League Mario Kart, because that's essentially what this is. So what it's doing is adding a bunch of items, 11 power-ups, that all do different things, and they're all very Mario Kart-esque. So Rocket League Rumble is part of a much larger update planned for the game in September, but they didn't give any more specific dates for the launch. So we don't know anything else other than this is what's coming. And so that there's things like the boot, the disruptor, the freezer, grappling hook, the haymaker, which is kind of funny, I think, magnetizer, power hitter, spike. So like it's straight out of Mario Kart. It's just not with the Mario skin on it, you know. And there's a trailer that I'll give you guys a link to if you want to check that out. If you're a Rocket League player, you're definitely going to want to do that. And I think you guys will enjoy it.
I like Rocket League a lot. I know you don't. But it's the kind of game that I come back to from time to time again. You know, say if I want to screw around in a game or whatever, or you know, if I have friends who are like, "Yo, let's play Rocket League," and I'm like, "All right, let's do that." And whenever they add new modes, that's cool. You know, I mean, like they had the basketball one. It's it's not my cup of tea because it's a lot harder than I'd like it to be, but it's fun. So like I like these different sort of modes that they're doing. The hockey one was fun too when they added that. So I definitely want to try it out when it comes out.
Yeah, I mean I'm playing a lot of Lucio Ball, so yeah. I mean I'm getting pretty good at that. But still terrible at Rocket League, so I probably won't be checking that out. My brother will though, probably. So I'll get his opinion on it and what he thinks when that launches. Up next, we have the Elder Scrolls Legends that I talked about earlier. We're not going to spend too much time on this. I'll just tell you how to get the open beta if you want to do it. So head over to their website. Just Google the Elder Scrolls Legends. It'll come right up for you. You're going to have to download their player, create an account, and it's weird because they have like Fallout Shelter, this, and one other thing. I forget what the third one is. It's like Creation Kit for Fallout 4 or something.
Oh, is it a BethesdaNet account?
Yeah, it's a BethesdaNet account, and you open up their player.
You have to make one of those if you want to install mods on.
So that must be what the third one's for. Mm. So you're gonna have to head over there, create a BethesdaNet account, install their player, and you can download it. It's a pretty small download, so it won't take you very long at all. And you can play it and enjoy it, and let us know what you think, because I really think this game's a lot of fun, and I'm probably gonna play it immediately after we stop recording this podcast.
I'm probably gonna go back and play No Man's Sky some more.
I don't blame you, but up next, we have more Elder Scrolls news. This one we're actually going to talk about a little more. And it's going to be the next Elder Scrolls game is not going to be an HD remake of Oblivion or Morrowind, but rather it's going to be Elder Scrolls 6.
Oh. Which
I know was a worry for a while. And this came from a QuakeCon, which just happened in Texas. And the man, Pete Hines... That's how you pronounce it, right? It's Hines, right? All right. I couldn't remember if his last name was pronounced weird. But he set the people at ease as to whether or not we were going to get another one, and he gave a pretty good reason for it. And it's that an Oblivion remaster is, he said it's an interesting idea, but it's a 10-year-old game, and Morrowind is 14. The leap we had to make and the work we had to do with Skyrim remade, with getting Skyrim remade, was much more obtainable and a much clearer path. With Oblivion, you're talking about several engines ago. Right. So, it's a lot more work, and it's a much larger undertaking, and Morrowind's even more, So, at this point, I think it's actually easier to make another game than it is to remake Morrowind and Oblivion.
I mean, yeah, if you wanted to... Well, Oblivion, I think, is on the same engine, isn't it?
No, that's from what he just said, it's a few engines ago. Or at least a few iterations of the same engine ago.
That's interesting. Morrowind, I definitely would see that's a few engines ago. Oblivion seems enough like the same sort of thing to me as Fallout and Skyrim that... I mean, obviously those games look better. Well, Fallout, maybe not, but...
Yeah.
But Fallout 3, I mean. Skyrim definitely looks better than it. I could see that one getting remade over Morrowind. Like, definitely Morrowind seems out of the cards just because it's so old.
Yeah, and I mean, if they're going to do it, it's not going to be anytime soon.
Yeah. I like, though, that they're like, the next Elder Scrolls will be Elder Scrolls 6, because, like, I mean, that's the thing with, like, Skyrim, is that there was no definite guarantee that they were just going to keep making HD remakes, but it's definitely a concern that could be what's happening.
Yeah.
If, say, like, we're filling you in until the next Skyrim, or until the next Elder Scrolls come out, because, like we've even read on the show, their next game isn't going to be Elder Scrolls. It's going to be something new, right?
Yeah.
So, I think that's cool. One thing I want to point out is that here in the document you've wrote next Elder Scrolls will be 11. You didn't put.
Oh, yeah, I did put 11. Oops, I meant 6. That's supposed to be a V, not an X.
Yeah, you're skipping a couple there, bro.
Yeah, just a few. But Hines said, in quote, we have to ask, do we want to take the time and resources and spend money on something that is already out to bring it to a new platform, or do we want to forge ahead with new stuff? And in most cases, the answer is that we want to forge ahead with new stuff. So it's I'm glad to hear it, but I do want to eventually see a Morrowind and Oblivion remaster because those were 2 very good games, and I think they deserve it. But maybe a little later down the line.
I think Pete Hines knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I wouldn't question Pete Hines.
He made a fake doctor's note for you to give your work.
Yeah.
For when Fallout 4 came out, so I think he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, but speaking of remasters and remakes, a fan made a remake of Metroid 2 after working on it since 2011 is when he started working on this project, and it was immediately taken down within 2 days. So it was launched on August 6th, just in time for the series' 30th anniversary, and it's a remake of Metroid 2: The Return of Samus. And by the end of the evening on August 7th, the file hosting services had been removed. So, if you got the opportunity to play it, I believe my brother actually got to play it, and he beat it, and he really enjoyed it. But unfortunately, it's no longer there, and it's not gonna come back up anytime soon.
I think Nintendo should have leaned into this.
See, this is a tough one, because they can't. Because if they even released a statement here, and I'll read that for you as soon as I can find it. Oh, here it is. So Nintendo, this is a quote from them, Nintendo's broad library of characters, products, and brands are enjoyed by people around the world, and we appreciate the passion of our fans. But just as Nintendo respects the intellectual property rights of others, we must also protect our own characters, trademarks, and other content. The unapproved use of Nintendo's intellectual property can weaken our ability to protect it and to preserve it, or to possibly use it for new projects. So this is kind of a forced hand issue, right? Like, they might not have wanted to take this thing down, because Nintendo isn't the evil corporation that everybody makes it out to be. But
was he putting it up for purchase, or was it just like he put it up on his website and you could download it?
I believe it was just for download, because I can't imagine my brother actually buying a game. That's not his style. But even still, like, you can work on a game that's with using assets that aren't yours, but the second you make it available to the public, that's when the IP holder has to take action. Otherwise, like Nintendo said, they could lose the ability to protect the Metroid franchise, which is not something they want to do because they have future Metroid games in the process. So it sucks, but it's something they have to do,
I'm just probably thinking back to when they did the Mega Man thing for his anniversary, when they had the fan-created Mega Man Cross Street Fighter game. And I think that it maybe would have been, who knows if this guy was out there before, or if he just sort of dropped it one day, which is probably the smarter thing to do if you're doing something like this. Like, remember that Star Wars game that we talked about? I think we talked about it last week, about how it got canceled because of EA. Because they were going to put it out on Steam and everything, and they had this big press release about that. Like, they probably would have been smarter to have just, dropped it one day on the internet. And then, at that point, even this, right? It's out there. If somebody wants to get it, it'll pop up on a torrent website somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there are people saying that it is floating around out there. So it's tough to find, but supposedly you should be able to find it, but it's not going to be easy.
I guarantee by the end of the week this will be up on Pirate Bay. But that's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is, like, with this sort of thing, like, if this guy maybe had talked about it before or not talked about it, like, he maybe should have got out there with it beforehand, because who knows? Like, maybe Nintendo would have said, we'll release this as, our celebration of the 30th anniversary, or, in conjunction with that, because that's kind of what Capcom did, was this guy was making this as his own little fan project, that Mega Man Cross Street Fighter, and then eventually Capcom got behind it and then released it through their proper channels. It was free, but it was through, like, you had to go to the Capcom website and download it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it wasn't
and
like
it's worth them doing that because it generates traffic for them, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you'll go to their website to get that game, but you also see all the other content on the website, so it's worth it in the long run, especially since most of the time they don't have to put any cost to developing the game. Like, so if I agree, and I was incorrect when I said earlier it was 2011, it was 2012 since this project has been in the works, so about 4 years. But yeah, if he had reached out to Nintendo, and I don't know that he didn't, maybe he did and they just declined. Yeah. But I feel like it's unfortunate but expected. And advice I have for any, aspiring game developer or game, you want to make content for people, do not use assets that you do not have, a legal right to, especially a big companies like Nintendo's or Sony's or anybody like that, because it will get taken down. And I imagine it's probably one of the worst feelings in the world to have a project you've worked on for 4 years of your life be up for 2 days and then be taken down.
I totally get why people do that, though. It's a way to get your name out there in a way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're the guy who made the cool Metroid remake, and then, like, when you come out with your own game, that's what people will talk about. They'd be like, this guy was, like, the guy who made the cool Metroid game, or it could even, be an opportunity to, say, get a job in the future, you know what I mean? Like, let's say Nintendo was going to make a 2D Metroid again. This guy could be called in. Like, I think that's how the guy who's making that new 2D Sonic game, he made, like, a bunch of fan-made Sonic stuff back in the day, and then they hired him, and he did all the mobile ports and, like, all the Xbox Live ports of, like, the original Sonic games.
Yeah, and even more recently, the guy who made the multiplayer, or was making the multiplayer mod for Just Cause, was hired by Avalanche. So it's the most important thing for getting into this industry is your portfolio. Almost nothing else matters. It's show us the work that you can do. And now this guy, despite the fact that it's not out there for the public to enjoy, he has one of the best portfolios on for this kind of game out there. So
yeah, it made a whole game.
Yeah. So I mean, it really sucks. From what my brother said, it was actually it was a lot of fun. He seemed to really enjoy it. But like I said, if you're gonna do this kind of thing, try to avoid using assets that you don't have the rights to, because it will get taken down, and that sucks.
And like I was saying, though, like, I get it. It's sort of a publicity stunt in a way.
Yeah.
It's kind of like where a good example is Kanye West. He'll act like an asshole, and it will spike sales of his album because people are like, I got to see what the controversy's about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. People talk.
Exactly.
But Jacob, that's all I got for you in the news this week.
Right. It's a long one.
It was a long one, but I feel like we had some fun things to talk about. Speaking of fun things, though, we get to move on to the next segment called the QuickTime Question. Welcome to the QuickTime Question. For those who don't know, the game works like this. I'm gonna ask Jacob a form of video game trivia. It's either gonna be a couple true or false questions, one multiple choice question. Could be a quiz if I'm feeling adventurous. I like to change it up week to week, so I don't get bored making it. Jacob doesn't get bored answering it, and we all have fun doing it. This week, Jacob's going to be a multiple choice questions about the Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Figured I'd tie it in since we had 2 Elder Scrolls news stories this week. You ready, Jacob? How familiar are you with Skyrim?
I played over 150 hours of Skyrim.
Alright, so I think you got a good chance of doing this. Ready?
Yeah.
Alright, so Skyrim is known for its references in the game, but which one of these properties was not referenced anywhere in Skyrim? Was it A, the Bourne Ultimatum, B, Excalibur, C, Pac-Man, or D, Tomb Raider?
Okay, 2 things, right?
Yes.
Excalibur makes sense to me because it's medieval.
Yep.
So that makes sense. I know for a fact that there is a Pac-Man Easter egg because I remember that. It's in like when you're in the underground area, there's like a cheese wheel that's shaped like Pac-Man.
Does it make a sound effect when you pick it up? Does it go waka waka waka?
I don't think so, but it's like it's a cheese wheel, and then it has like 3 like pieces of bread or something like that look like dots.
Oh, they're supposed to be the pellets?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the Easter egg. Tomb Raider makes sense to me too, because there are tombs that you technically raid in that game. Yeah. So the Bourne Ultimatum is the only one that's like out of nowhere there. So I'm gonna say the Bourne Ultimatum. That's a great movie, but I don't think that's referenced in Skyrim.
You locking that in?
Yes.
Alright, Jacob, you're incorrect. The Bourne Ultimatum was referenced in Skyrim. In the city of Riften, there's a family called the Brackbriar. Given Joan Allen's performance in the game, the family's name is a clear reference to the movie The Bourne Ultimatum, where Allen starred as Pam Landy, a chief officer of the CIA, who was kept in the dark about a program also called Blackbriar.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so kind of a deep one there, but it was referenced. And Excalibur, in the west of the city Whiterun, the player can find a skeletal hand sticking out of the ponds holding a sword.
Right.
So, and you were dead on the mark with the Pac-Man one.
What is the one that isn't referenced? Is it Tomb Raider?
It is Tomb Raider, yep. And Pac-Man in Markov, in Endon's house. Like you said, there's a cheese wheel and some food and alchemy ingredients that are supposed to be the pellets.
Yes.
So, I was really happy that little slip-up worked with the Bourne Ultimatum.
Yeah, because that just does not seem like something that would be referenced in Skyrim, of all things. You know what I mean? Plus, that's a really deep-cut reference.
Yeah. It's not something, unless you had, like, just seen the movie and then played Skyrim, it's not something I don't think you'd catch.
I didn't even know that Joan Allen, the actress, was in that game.
Yep.
So, also, too, fun fact, my grandmother's name, Joan Allen.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of strange.
Isn't it?
A little bit, but, Jacob, you lost this week.
Yeah.
Your win rate's going down again, Jacob. We'll have to fix that for next week. Maybe I'll give you a little. I'll give you a true or false one. You seem to do pretty well with those.
Yeah, I do, because it's a 50-50 shot.
Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to move on to the spiel. If you want to get in touch with us, you can do that at completewithdlc@gmail.com. It's going to be the best place for you to send your comments, your complaints, concerns, questions, whatever you want us to read, that's the place to do it. If you want one of us to answer you specifically, please put our name in the body or subject line of the email as to who it's directed to, and I'll make sure the correct person answers you. We will sign the email regardless so you know who you're talking to, but it's always nice to know if the right person's answering. If you don't want to email the show and you just want to keep up to date with all the shows happening, head on over to Twitter. We are complete with DLC on Twitter. That's where Jacob keeps you all informed as to whenever I make a goof-up mistake or whether a show is live or an episode goes up or a YouTube video goes up or whatever's happening. Jacob keeps you guys informed. And that's the best place to keep up to date with the show. If you just want to get new episodes as they come out, head over to wherever you get your podcasts, whether that be iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or SoundCloud, or any of the affiliates thereof. And once you're there, please use whatever review software they give you, whether that be thumbs, stars, arrows, or smiley faces. And let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. I apologize that this is a slightly longer episode, but you know what? No Man's Sky came out this week. I figured we'd make an exception. It's okay. We'll be back to our normal, 45, 50-minute lengths next episode, hopefully. If you don't want to review the show, that's fine. A listen is all that we ask for, and we appreciate all you guys, all you silent listeners out there. We see you, and we thank you. Jacob, if they want to get in touch with you, where can they do that?
You can get in touch with me on any sort of social media at itsjaygriff, ITSJAYGRIFF. I'm probably most active on Twitter, so that'll be the best place to get a hold of me. Brad, if they want to get in touch with you, where can they do that?
If you want to get in touch with me, you can do that over on Twitter as well. I'm Calgary on Twitter, KALGNE. I don't tweet, but I do frequent the Twitter for my news sources. So I'll notice you if you try to get in touch with me there. But if you want to have an actual conversation with me, then you can head over to Battle.net. That's Blizzard's little interactive hub for other games. That's where I spend most of my time, and you get a little instant messenger thing you can talk to me with. My friend code is Brad, #1261. So you and I can have a chat, play some Overwatch or Hearthstone or whatever you want to play, and it'll be fun times. When you send me a friend request, let me know where you heard the code, whether it be a podcast episode, YouTube video, so on and so forth, so I can make a note and I don't delete you. The show is live streamed at twitch.tv/completewithdlc, where we live stream at approximately 1 p.m. Eastern, but please frequent our Twitter, because we do not live stream every episode. In fact, we haven't live streamed one in a while because of various scheduling issues recently. But if we are live streaming, Twitter is going to be the place you're going to find out about it, so frequent that. The VODs of those live streams are uploaded to our YouTube channel. Check out the episode description for the YouTube channel for the VODs, as well as some other content we produce, like some various video series, probably some No Man's Sky content coming soon, that kind of thing. But we also record video for things that are not live streamed, so even if the episode isn't live streamed, there might still be video for it. You can see my face and Jacob's sad face, and that's going to be the place to do it. But I think that's everything, Jacob.
One thing I want to point out that happened last week that I'm ashamed of now because it was for Suicide Squad was that the spiel didn't get read. I noticed that.
You know what? You're right. The spiel didn't get read. I had completely glossed over that in editing. I didn't even think about it. That's a shame.
Yeah.
But that's fine. Not every episode needs a spiel.
This is a really cool spaceship. Sorry, I'm playing No Man's Sky right now.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to end. That guy over there, that guy's playing No Man's Sky, and his name's Jacob Griffin. This guy over here, he doesn't have No Man's Sky, and his name's Brad Knight. And this has been Complete with DLC. And thank you for listening.